together with these rulers of a toxic nation. What a price we have to pay for the life of kings. I rise above it cause a dragon never hides its wings.
Woo. You know what time it is. It's time for Meet Your Strawman, and whatever you want to know. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. This is part 18. And we finished talking about how Hitler beat Brad Pitt for Time Magazine's Man of the Year. Damn. So, once again, Germany's industrial output became a threat to Great Britain. Bullshit. Resulting in these comments from Winston Churchill. Should Germany merchandise and do business again in the next 50 years, we have led this war, World War I, in vain. We will force this war upon Hitler, if he wants it or not. Germany becomes too powerful. We have to crush it. This war is an English war, and its goal is the destruction of Germany. Germany's state-issued value-based currency was also a direct threat to the wealth and power of the corrupt private central banks. And as early as 1933, they started to organise a global boycott against Germany to strangle this upstart ruler who thought he could break free of private central banks. How dare you with your funny moustache try and free the people? As had been the case in World War I, Great Britain and other nations threatened by Germany's economic power looked for an excuse to go to war. And as public anger in Germany grew over the boycott, Hitler foolishly gave them that excuse. Years later, in a spirit of candour, the real reasons for that war were made clear. Some more from Winston Churchill. The war wasn't only about abolishing fascism, but to conquer sales markets. We could have, if we had intended to, prevented this war from breaking out without firing one shot. But we didn't want to. Germany's unforgivable crime before World War II was its attempt to loosen its economy out of the world trade system and to build up an independent exchange system from which world finance couldn't profit anymore. How dare you, human! We butchered the wrong pig. As a side note, we need to step back before World War II and recall Marine Major General Smedley Butler. In 1933, Wall Street bankers with their little penises and finances had bankrolled the successful coups by both Hitler and Mussolini. Brown Brothers Harriman in New York was financing Hitler right up to the day war was declared with Germany, and they decided that a fascist dictatorship in the United States based on the one in Italy would be far better for their business interest than Roosevelt's New Deal, which threatened massive wealth redistribution to recapitalize the working and middle class Americans. Stay in your cage, humans. So the Wall Street tycoons recruited General Butler to lead the overthrow of the US government and install a Secretary of General Affairs who would be answerable to Wall Street and not to the people, and would crush social unrest and shut down all labour unions. Nice of them, isn't it? General Butler pretended to go along with the scheme, but then exposed the plot to Congress. Congress, that is now in the pocket of the Wall Street bankers, refused to act. When Roosevelt learned of the planned coup, he demanded the arrest of the plotters, but the plotters simply reminded Roosevelt that if any of them were sent to prison, their friends on Wall Street would deliberately collapse the still fragile economy and blame Roosevelt for it. Roosevelt was thus unable to act until the start of World War II, at which time he prosecuted many of the plotters under the Trading with the Enemy Act. The congressional minutes into the coup were finally released in 1967 and became the inspiration for the movie 7 Days in May, but with the true financial villains erased from the script. I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service as a member of our country's most agile military force, the Marine Corps. I served in all commissioned ranks from second lieutenant to major general. During that period, I spent more of my time being a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street, and for the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism. I suspected that I was just a part of a racket at the time. Now, I am sure of it. Like all members of the military profession, I never had an original thought until I left the service. My mental faculties remained in suspended animation, while I obeyed the orders of the higher-ups. This is typical with everyone in the military service and Australia. Thus, I helped make Mexico, and especially Tampico, safe for American oil interests in 1914. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenues in. I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. The record of racketeering is long. I helped purify Nicaragua for the International Banking House of Brown Brothers in 1909 to 1912. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for American sugar interests in 1916. In China in 1927, I helped see it that Standard Oil went on its way unmolested. During those years, I had, as the boys in the back room would say, a swell racket. I was rewarded with honors, medals, and promotion. Looking back at it, I feel I might have given Al Capone a few hints. The best he could do was to operate his racket in 3 city districts. I operated on 3 continents. Thug Life glasses come on. That is the real life Scarface, General Smedley Butler, former U.S. Marine Corps Commandant. We're going to stop it there. Unbelievable. I don't really have much to comment on that. I'm going to get into it obviously tomorrow, where we're going to talk a bit about Kennedy. And there's a lot more stuff that's going to bewilder everybody. They're like, what is going on?